In this video, we're going to share some tips on how to set up and maintain effective transaction rules in class. It's important to have good quality transaction rules because not only do transaction rules increase the level of automation, but they also reduce the time spent undoing and redoing transactions that were incorrectly matched by poor transaction rules. We're going to look at some different examples of both good and not so good rules and highlight some tips on how to ensure you have good quality rules in your business. For the narrative, you should aim to set up a rule with at least 6 characters in the description. If we take a look at this example, account keeping fees, this is a good level of description to put in the narration. Compare that to the rule here with fee. This is too short. It's going to be matching off investment management fees, but it might also pick up other types of transactions with the word fee, such as accounting fees and audit fees. The next one is wildcards. Wildcards are the asterisks that are used to replace text within a transaction rule. This is a correct example of the use of wildcards. You've got rent, you've got the part in the middle of the description, which might be, say, the month, January, February, March, which changes each time a payment is made. And then you've got Thompson Street, which remains the same. So wildcards should only be used in the middle of a narration. In this example, wildcard has been used at the start and at the end of the description. This is not necessary. By default, the system already has a wildcard, if you like, that's at the start and at the end of the text. So any description that you write is what's going to be matched off. Bank accounts is used as an additional filter. Generally speaking, it's best not to have the bank account filter selected for a transaction rule. Take this example. We've got 2 rules for interest: credit interest from Macquarie CMA and interest for the Macquarie high interest account. It'd be better to just set up the rule interest and remove the bank account filter, and that way it will pick up both sets of interest each month, and we will not need to worry about having 2 rules. The next one is direction. It's always best to have either debit or credit, but not both. Especially in this example, where you've got interest, debit or credit, they're actually going to be matched in 2 different parts of the financial statement. So we want to make sure that we're very specific, that everything has either debit or credit, but not both. The next one is amount match. And again, you generally don't want to put an amount in here. This is an example where an amount is correct to be used. You've got a description that is the same. So 2 transactions with AMP as the description. They are both member insurance premiums. We would like the description to be a little bit longer, but the system is going to be looking at the amount. So $113 will be matched as one particular member, and the $136 will be matched as another member. Bulk processing, if you tick this box, this will make sure that every night the system goes and runs the transaction rules automatically. So that's this box down below. By default, it will be ticked. Majority of transaction rules should be set to bulk processing, but there are some examples that you may want to not set bulk processing. So in the case of our member insurance premiums, we know that these will change annually, and we would rather not have the rule try and process in bulk every year. So we're going to choose not to set the bulk processing for those. But certainly for other types of transactions like account keeping fees and credit interest, we do want to make sure that the system is automatically matching those off each and every month. There are a certain number of rules that you should avoid creating as a transaction rule. One example is dividend or distribution for listed securities. Now, the generate income function in class will automatically create the income event for those. So we don't want to be creating a transaction rule for that because it will be less reliable. Another example is using ATO or ASIC as a description. There are multiple things that can be matched off against the ATO, quarterly activity statement. It could be an annual tax payment. With ASIC, there could be an element of a fine or penalty as well as the regulatory fee. So we're better off matching that in bulk in the cash console. Another example are employer contributions. So if you've got a small business clearinghouse, as in this example with the ATO, we would rather be using Class's electronic service address, and therefore we would have an automatic data feed and not need a transaction rule for employer contributions. You should be looking at managing rules on an annual basis. For a particular entity, you can navigate to transactions and view transaction rules. You should be looking to delete old rules or rules where you have duplicates. You can also look at the business level. If you navigate to transactions and maintain transaction rules, you can see all of the rules that have been created. If you click on the rule, you'll be able to see which entity it relates to and some more details. You are able to, from here, select rules that you don't want to have in the system, and then you can click the delete if you want to remove them.